Hello and welcome to our inaugural King's Junior School Sport Podcast. I'm here, sat right next to Mr. McCausland. We've only got 10 minutes, so I'm going to get straight into it. You started at the same time as me at the school. Last September, it feels like a world away. Just describe in a few words how your time in King's Sport has been for you.
It's been a whirlwind, Mr. McCluskey. Right from the outset, I was treated with the under-10 D football side, a side loaded with talent, but needed a bit of guidance, a bit of nurturing. Some enthusiastic boys that perhaps excelled in other sports, but needed just a bit of a helping hand when it came to the football. Really enjoyed getting to know the boys outside of the classroom as well. That's really benefited the work that we do in the classroom and indeed on the sports field as well.
And I'm just going to butt in there, actually. I'm going to interject because I spent a lot of time with you out on that football pitch. I took the under-10s and it was just fantastic to see so many boys out playing. We had A to G, didn't we, at times, mixing up, playing little round-robin tournaments, lots of small-sided games. But the enthusiasm and effort from those fellas, particularly in our very first term, certainly made me feel very welcome to the school and just a real good buzz around the common room, around the pitches, just a real warm welcome.
I think the great thing about the Kings boys is they don't need a lot of assistance in terms of their enthusiasm levels. I think they, regardless of whether it's inside or outside the classroom, they're always keen to get stuck in to whatever it might be. Particularly enjoyed the football. I didn't know an awful lot about football, and I was quite upfront with that. Not with the boys, obviously, but certainly their enthusiasm's rubbed off on me, and I find myself at times actually following the game outside of school as well, which is exciting.
Yeah, it's a great league, the Premier League. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Derby County, as many of the parents will know. Certainly the staff do, plying our trade in the Championship. But we're up and running again. We're going to come later, actually, in this podcast, talk about what's coming up ahead. But one of the reasons for us recording this is not just to kind of recap or summarise what's gone on. Obviously, the From the Touchline blog that I write each week that this accompanies, that will sum up roughly what's been going on in our week in sport. But let's talk now. I have this opportunity. I have an absolute thoroughbred Kiwi sat next to me. Let's talk now about the Lions. Have you got over it? You came back end of August. I trod carefully around you. Thoughts, feelings and emotions, please, Mr. McCausland.
I'm not going to say that I've got sour grapes, because I don't have sour grapes. The series as a whole was played to a terrific standard. Quite clearly the second best team in the world at the moment, the Lions. They competed with the All Blacks on our home track. They travelled with a gruelling schedule, and all credit to them. They fully deserve the result. However, no sports fan can honestly tell me that there was transparency with the decision right at the end of the third test, which effectively robbed us of a chance to win the match and the series.
Can I just interrupt there? Fairly emotive language. Robbed.
We were deprived of an opportunity to win the match where we possibly could have won it. The way Bowden Barrett was kicking, there was certainly no given.
Yeah, agree with that.
However, the video referee had in fact indicated he would like for a penalty to be taken. It was all hunky-dory. The referee on his way back to the mark to award the penalty when obviously the microphones famously were turned off. Whatever was spoken between the two Frenchmen was spoken, and then the microphones came back on at the point where we were being awarded a scrum.
Okay, so our listeners won't be able to see your body language right now. I can still sense that you were quite tense about this. I'm going to say this: what a great advert for the game of rugby. What a great advert for sportsmanship as well at the end. I know I watched it with some friends of mine that famous morning when the full-time whistle went on 80 minutes and everybody kind of looked around in disbelief. I looked around in disbelief at my mates. The players on the pitch looked at disbelief because the draw just wasn't something anybody could comprehend, and it was a drawn series. That's it, 1-1. But the way the players conducted themselves at the end was just a measure of the men on that field right then and right there.
Couldn't agree any more, Mr. McCluskey. And to add to what you've just said, I feel like the way that the Lions conduct themselves on the tour, they got off to a horrendous start. They were beaten by a lowly Blues side, having struggled against the Barbarians a week before that. They lost to the Highlanders, but the only thing the series is going to be remembered for, and I know the tabloids were saying this mid-series, was the end result against the All Blacks. No one really remembers now the Blues game or the Highlanders game or the poor performance against the Barbarians. That's all fish and chip paper. The people are remembering the Test series, which was a magnificent series. And I mean, it's actually a shame that we're not going to see that sort of Test level again for 12 more years, Mr. McCluskey.
Yeah, totally agree. I actually forwarded you an article that my dad sent me from Ed Smith, probably better known as a journalist than he ever was an England batsman. And he does write some fine pieces about sport in general, and he was discussing the referee, something we talk to the boys all about from time to time, and very much we look at the fact that it is going to get wrong sometimes. There will be bad decisions, there will be incorrect decisions. The players seem to just crack on with it, get on with it, and the game played out to what he felt, Ed Smith felt, was a fair result, because there was many twos and fros throughout the game. I know that you disagreed with him somewhat.
I wouldn't say that I disagree with him. Absolutely, it's a subjective environment. There's going to be decisions that go each way throughout the contest. I guess what is disappointing is that a decision was made. Johnny on the spot made the decision, and whatever happened after that somehow actually changed that decision from what appeared to be the correct decision in the first place. I guess that's the disappointing thing from a New Zealand fan watching on. Wasn't the fact that the decision was made. Wasn't the fact that the video referee was called in, because that does happen for important decisions these days. It's the way that the microphones were turned off, and that the transparency appeared to leave. And that was frustrating for me watching on, not really knowing what was going on between the referees.
It did seem a bit cloak and dagger. We're going to move away from the Lions. I feel like we've summed that up, and we're also running out of time on the podcast, and I definitely want to touch on Friday. We've got some fixtures, some boys running out, wearing the King's kit. Cranmore are coming over, one of our big local rivals. A great fixture for us because they have big numbers as well. We've got under 10, A to G. We spoke about the under 10 football earlier. You're back on the Ds, I'm back on the Es. A real spread of boys are going to be out there playing. I'm fizzing. I'm fizzing with excitement. We can't wait to get them out there. 2:30 kickoff. Talk to me, Mr. McCausland.
Absolutely. The Ds are well up for this one. As you know, there's a lot of movement between the squads early in the season, but I'm happy with the crop that we've got. Cranmore, strong rivals. Not only do they have big numbers, but they're also traditionally tough sports sides to play. The excellent facilities down at King's College School here. They're looking lush. They're feeling good underfoot. I'm expecting some running football out there, and I'm looking forward to seeing plenty of goals scored from both sides.
Fantastic. Thanks, Mr. McCausland. Just on that, one of our groundsmen informed me that because of the thunderstorms we've had this summer, there's been more nitrogen in the rain that's promoted that grass growth. We've got a beautiful covering. Every day is a school day, a real science lesson for me there. I'm sure I won't be in the labs with Mr. Hipkiss anytime soon, but really excited. This is goodbye from us. Goodbye from you, Mr. McCausland.
Thanks very much.
Great to have you on board, okay? And hopefully you've enjoyed this. You'll subscribe and you'll listen again soon. But we'll see you on the touchline in due course. Goodbye.